Welcome to another internet programming class. Today we'll be looking at the fundamentals of JavaScript. JavaScript is a strong programming language that helps you to build applications for the internet. Today we'll be looking at what JavaScript is, and you'll get to write your first JavaScript code. We'll look at variables, decision makings, functions, events, and then we'll do some demonstrations for us to actually see JavaScript in action. This is a very big topic. We will just be giving an overview, and practice makes perfect. So the more we go through the codes and try them on our own, the better we're able to carry out the tasks. JavaScript is a scripting language that was developed by Netscape Communication to provide interactivity to static web pages. Remember, before now we've been working on simple HTML, and then we later developed some skills on how to use CSS. The next step is JavaScript. It helps us to add interactivity to our web page and make them more interesting, and we can do more things with them. It's actually a programming language that runs on a web browser. So quite a number of things can be done with this language. It enables users to interact with web pages. So things like action, motion, interactions can all be accomplished using the JavaScript programming or scripting language. I mentioned earlier on about HTML and CSS. These are markup languages. They describe to the browser how the text should be structured and displayed. So they are not programming languages as it is, but they are called markup languages. But JavaScript is a programming language. Now, if you search around the web, you will see that JavaScript is even ranked among the most popular programming languages you have today. So, for instance, a recent review rates Python as the #1 most popular language, or language that people like to learn. You have C, you have Java, C++, C#, R, and then here you have JavaScript at number 7. So it's telling you that JavaScript is among the top 10 programming languages that is very useful in today's world. And JavaScript is not Java. As you can see, Java is another programming language that is number 3, but JavaScript is different from Java. Now let's talk about your first JavaScript code. In programming parlance, usually when you want to write the first code, they say write the hello world code. So the hello world program is generally used to display the message hello world, just to make sure that you are able to conveniently run your program, and then you see the word or the message hello world. So how do you do it in JavaScript? Remember, JavaScript, now the JavaScript code you write can be placed in different places. For instance, it can be placed at the head, at the very top of your HTML page that you are designing. Remember, in CSS we had something similar. You can place your CSS code at the top. So similarly, you can place the JavaScript code here, and it can be placed within the body as well. Okay, or you create a separate file and save it as JavaScript file. That's with an extension .js, and it does the same thing, and it can be applied across your web pages. But in this session, we'll be putting our JavaScript code at the head of our HTML document, just as we have been doing before. Another thing you will notice is that for you to write JavaScript, you need to create a script tag at the very head, just like I mentioned. So you have to create script, an opening script tag, and you put text equals to JavaScript to signify that it's JavaScript. In HTML5, there is no need to put a text equals to JavaScript, but it's still fine if you put this to notify the browser that you are working with a JavaScript code. We see a little instruction here, document.write. So this is a JavaScript function that helps you to write into your HTML document. So you are telling the parser, the browser, that you want to write hello world. So use the syntax document.write hello world, and in this case I'm putting it under heading 1. Okay, and you may choose to write another thing, document.write welcome to the world's largest online store. So this is a simple code, and I'll want us to try it. So what you just do is you go to your HTML editor, whichever one you use, and just quickly type this code, very simple code, and then you will run your first JavaScript code. So let's try. All right, so here we are in our little code HTML editor. So there is nothing in this file, just simple HTML. So the file is called simple HTML. It has a head and then it has a body. Okay, so all the tags are empty. And if you look at the same file here, if I run it on the browser, it's empty, there is nothing in it. So I'd like to add JavaScript code. How do I do that? So you just come in and write the script tag, script, the opening and closing tag for the script, and then the next thing you do is using HTML5, you don't need to put text equals to JavaScript. Yeah, so to print out the message hello world, I simply come down under the script type to write document.write. Okay, and then I tell what I want to write. So in this case, I want to write hello world. And I may want my hello world to look nice. So I can, for instance, make it an header 1, H1. And I need to close my H1 tag. And I can close the statement that I've written here with a semicolon. So that is all you need to write basic JavaScript code. So document.write, hello world, and when you are done, simply save, and then go to your browser and run that code. Here you can see hello world. And in the example I showed earlier on, you can even write something else after that. So your code is working. You've written your first JavaScript code. So now let's try something more interesting. Let's work with alert box. Now, an alert box is often used if you want to make sure that an information comes to the attention of the user. You want to draw the student or the user's attention to a particular information. You use an alert box, and this is a simple code that you can use to do that. This is similar to what we have been writing before, simple HTML, and then you have your script tag. You use the function alert, and you put what you want to draw to the attention of the user in brackets, and then in quotes, the string or text you want them to see. And of course, you end with a semicolon. It's as simple as this. So let's see how you can run it in code. Okay, so here we are in the code editor. So I have here my head that says where we generate alert box, and then under my script tag hello world, may I order please. So this is a simple code that helps you to draw the attention of the user. Alert function hello world. So if I save this code and I go to my browser or open it from my file, so this is the file I have for alert. There we are. You see, it has this alert to the user, hello world. The person has to click OK before he or she can continue with the work. So this is how you get the attention of a user. This is a quick exercise for us to quickly look at. Generally, where do you run JavaScript? Pick your choice. A pop-up box that calls a user's attention, what do you call it? I'm sure we know that. Also, JavaScript on a page usually resides where? Okay. Then a last one, how do you close a JavaScript statement? So think about these small facts as we move on to the next point. So now we are talking about variables. So what are variables? Different programming languages, you have the word variable. So variables are containers for storing information. If you need to store something, it may be a word or it may be a figure, a number, you store it inside a container called variable. They are used to hold values or expressions. Examples are amount, for instance, exam score, radius. All these are variables. So usually in JavaScript, a variable is declared by preceding it with a keyword, var. Okay, so let's look at this code by the right-hand side. It's the same as we have been writing, but now we have declared 3 variables. The first variable is my name. Okay, so in this variable, I'm asking the user to type in something, to type his name. Okay, and then there is an alert box here. After the user types his name, it will now alert the user to say welcome. And that name, that container that holds the name in which you inputted here, that name will come in here. So it will say welcome, that whatever that name is, to our shopping site. Okay, so and also you have a document.write statement, so which writes again welcome with under an h2 header, my name, so the same name I get from the prompt, and then this is a shopping site, something like that. So this is a small example to demonstrate what variables are, how they are declared, and how you can use them in your code. So let's see how it works practically. So this is the same code. You can just go ahead and type this code in your own HTML editor. Declare your variable and then alert the variable. I'll just save this code and run it on my browser. So my file is variable.html. Let me quickly access that. So this is the file, variable.html. So here it has run the code. You can see variable.html. So it's giving you a question. Hi there, what is your name? Remember, this is what we have in the prompt. Hi there, what is your name? So put in your name. For instance, Mike is the name. And then click on OK. So it gives you the first alert statement, the first alert response that we have here. Alert, welcome. So it says, welcome Mike to our shopping site. Okay, so when you click OK, it now goes ahead to write this second line that we have here. Welcome Mike. I have a T coming in somewhere. So this is the T that came in. So welcome Mike. This shopping site will give you the best experience. So this is what we have here. So this is a code that runs using a variable. So these are just other examples of variable for us to take note how they are declared, and you can use them also within your code. Let's talk about decision making. How do you get your code to show some simple decision making? That is, if this happens, that should happen. If this does this, do that. So you use that using what is called the if statement. Okay, this is used to execute some code only if a specified condition is true. So you specify the condition, and then if it's true, the code will be executed. So the two major parts of an if statement are the conditional statement and then the code to be executed. You can see this at the right hand side here. So here you have a variable called my score, which you get from a prompt. So similar to the prompt we had earlier on that says enter your exam score. Okay, now if the score you entered is greater than or equal to 70, you get a message that says congratulations, you passed with distinction. Now if that score you entered is less than 70, the statement under this else statement will be executed. That is, you will see a message that says you need to work harder. Okay, and then a message that says your score sheet. So this is a simple if statement. So this is a conditional statement that must be executed. If it is true, what goes on after here will come up. And if it's not true, you have the else part this will come up for you to see. So this is a simple if statement. Okay, so now we're at the code. So let's look at the decision statement. This is just what I just explained. So let's run the code on the browser. I simply double click it and it should bring me up on my browser. Yeah, so this is it, decision.html. Let me run it again. Okay, so this is it. It says enter your exam score. So if I enter 90, for instance, and I click on OK, it should tell me I've passed with distinction. Okay, congratulations, you passed with distinction. Now, if I enter, say, 67, now 67 is less than 70. So I will have this part of the code executed. You need to work harder. So let's try it. I just come here and say, OK. Okay, you see here, you need to work harder, your score sheet. So this is how decision statements are executed using the if statement. Now here's another simple one, functions. We've been using functions like the alert functions. Those are inbuilt functions. But generally, what are functions? A function is a piece of code that sits dormant until it is referenced or called upon to do its function. Okay, so you declare a function and then you call the function within your code to do something, to perform a particular activity that you designed for it. So functions are a great way to save time for doing repetitive tasks, which is usually called code reusability. It is always nice for you to be able to reuse code and not write the same code over and over and over again. So functions can help you do that. Now this is a simple function, and the way you write a function in JavaScript, you just put the keyword, the word function, and this is the name of the function, pop-up, and all what it does is alert hello world. Okay, so try run this function and see how it goes on in your browser. So you have a button that when you click on it, the function comes on. Now let's talk about events and event handlers in JavaScript. Now, to get your web page to be interactive, you need what are called events and event handlers. An event makes things to happen. For instance, a mouse click is an event. When the web page is loading, it's an event. When you hover your mouse over a word, that is an event happening. So you can select an input box in an HTML form. That is also an event. Even pressing your key is an event. So you can program such events in JavaScript to do something. For instance, when you click a mouse, something happens. Or when you press a key, something happens. So that's why you see the term, the building blocks of an interactive web page is using events. And there are different events. If you check the course material, you see on click event. Okay, so when you click something, on load, on mouse over, on mouse out, on unload, on submit, on focus. So read through these different events and try to understand what they do. Now this is a small code showing us how to use the onClick event. Okay, I have here a small code that declares a function that says show confirm. So this is the function name. After declaring the function, you can see here a variable is being declared, the variable r, and we're using a confirm function that asks you to press a button. So if you press the button, the true part of the button, you will have an alert, you pressed OK. If you press the other part or refuse to press it, you see you pressed cancel. Now if you pressed the cancel bit, you will get an alert to say you pressed cancel. Okay, and so this is the simple HTML that helps you to get the button out. Input type equals to button. We did something like this before. And then you have the onClick event being described here. I'm just showing you how this code looks like and trying to interpret it for you. So onClick, it will run this function show confirm, and then the value it will be show confirm. Let's see how it looks like in real code. So here I am in the code editor. So this is the event page. So you can see this is similar. This is the script tag, and then I'm declaring the function that says show confirm, and then run it and see what it does. So let me quickly run it by going to the file. Right, so this is the events.html file on the browser. Here we can see something. So we can see the button show confirm. So when you click it on click event, it runs this function. Here it is. So you have a confirm box that's showing press a button, and you have two buttons, either an OK or a cancel. If I press OK, I get an alert that tells me you pressed OK. Okay? If I run it again, if I press the show confirm button again, this time I'm going to press cancel. If I press cancel, I'm going to say you pressed cancel. Okay? So this is how you work with events. This is a simple one on click event. So you can get familiar with operators, arithmetic operators in JavaScript. This is the addition operator if you want to add two numbers. So you can say x, the variable x is equals to y plus 2. Okay? So this is how it can be. And if you have a value for y and it's added here, for instance, in this case, if y is 10, so 10 plus 2 will give you the result 12. So you can try this on your own. There are subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, increment, and all these are here. Then you have comparison and logical operators. Okay, so you can use this for your decision making. So if you want to compare two numbers, if y is equals to 8, do this, and if y is greater than 8, do this. And these are logical operators. For instance, you want if x is less than 7 and y is greater than 6, perform a particular function. So it will evaluate these operators to see whether they are true or whether they are false. If they are true, the code after you put there will be executed. And if they are false, if you have an else statement after that, it will work, it will go to that statement. So these are just a quick overview of what JavaScript is and what it can do. JavaScript is a very, very powerful programming language, and it would be nice to get familiar with the different functions and what they can do. So in this video, I just tried to run quickly through an overview as it is of JavaScript. Thank you for listening.